Hello everyone. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. I hope your is going, is going, is super, super lovely, 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 lovely. For today's video, we are going to be doing a blast from the past where I share with you some of my vintage perfumes. Some of these I just purely have in my collection just as an overall lover of perfumes. I like to have references to the olden times, but some of these I actually do wear because I simply love smelling like the yesteryears. And I have a lot of love and appreciation for these scents, and I wanted to share them with you all. So I pulled out a couple, and I do have some boxes as well, not for all of the perfumes, but for a few. So we will start off with Caleche, and today will be a mixture of softly speaking and whispering. It is a rainy day today. Can you hear the raindrops trickling down? So relaxing. It has been a bit since I have filmed for multiple reasons. One being that I've had a sick household, so it has been quite difficult to film for that reason. Two, as you guys know, I don't have a laptop, so it makes things harder to edit and to get it up for you guys. I cannot afford a new laptop, so things are just going to be a little tricky until then. But also, I've still been dealing with some stomach issues that I'm handling. And I also have osteoarthritis, which has been killing me lately. So this week has probably been the worst because it's been very hard for me to even walk, to stand and walk properly. I feel like I am a turtle. But my osteoarthritis affects my right side. It affects my hip, my thigh, and my knee. And yeah, but I want to keep this positive. But there's been things happening, which is why you haven't seen me. But I'm here, and I hope that this can relax you as we learn about these things, these perfumes from the past. So this is Hermes Caleche. Now, even though I say that these are perfumes from the past, you can purchase some of these perfumes in its more modern presentation. Some things may have changed a bit in formulation due to Hermes, which is basically the perfume police, which regulates how much potency we can put into these perfumes with certain ingredients such as oak moss, certain ingredients that and be allergens. And, you know, as we've learned so much about certain ingredients, it's also hindered perfumers from using more heavier doses as they would have in the past. So there is a debate on whether vintage perfumes smell better to the more modern versions. Some people do believe because of the many regulations that Ypres has, that a lot of these perfumes have been kind of diluted and lost their growl. But I do find that it's pretty 50-50. Sometimes it will smell a modern version of a perfume that has come out in like the 1950s and it smells relatively the same. And then sometimes I have noticed that it is a much more softer version of its original, or it's completely different. But, you know, perfumers, they have to work around these things, and we have to give them grace. So, anywho, we're going to first talk about Hermes Caleche. Now, this perfume, I believe this specific version came out in the 70s, but Caleche would be considered a floral aldehyde. Now, if you have never heard the term aldehyde, it is a component used in perfumery to make the perfume much more effervescent. It gives a sparkling quality to the perfume, similar to opening up a bottle of champagne. You get that instant fizziness up into your nose. And when you smell perfumes that smell like fresh laundry, a little soapy, waxy, even fatty even, that oftentimes is aldehydes. It gives a sensation and texture to perfume unlike any other note. So I love aldehydes. I find them fascinating. And probably the most famous aldehydic perfume, dare I say, is Chanel No. 5, which I believe is Marilyn Monroe's signature scent. This is very similar to Chanel No. 5 as well. This has that effervescence up at the top with the aldehydes. It has beautiful florals, rose and ylang ylang, and it has a oak moss base, which I love. It has musk as well, so it has that woody, musky base from musk and sandalwood. And it's just a charmer. It's just a charmer. Although if you've smelled Chanel No. 5, it's not going to be quite unique, but it is very, very beautiful. And even though this bottle is from the 70s, this has not gone off. Yeah, it smells so good. I should have brought down my tester papers, but I didn't. But anyhow, so this came out in 1961, and the nose behind this fragrance is Guy Robert. Guy Robert. So Caleche, composed by Guy Roberts in 1961, is a very feminine combination of flower, wood, and I guess they do consider this a chypre with the oak moss. So, let's see what the notes are. We have top notes of aldehydes, cypress, bergamot, neroli, orange blossom, lemon, and mandarin orange. We have the middle notes of iris, ylang ylang, rose, gardenia, jasmine, lily of the valley, and the base notes are oak moss, sandalwood, vetiver, musk, cedar, amber, and tonka bean. And you could definitely smell the tonka bean. It definitely brings a warmth to the overall dry down of this fragrance. Again, this is just, it's classic elegance. And I know so many designers created their own version of Chanel No. 5 because it did so well. And so this is Hermes's version. Let's read what someone has to say about this. You are in horse-drawn carriage on a high hillside road at dusk, with fresh, cool air descending after a warm spring day, screaming past your face. The heat of friction from speed upon the wheels and axles rises up to greet this voluminous breeze whipping through the scarf wrapped carefully upon your head. There is a damp and heaving, warm, cat-like creature bundled into your lap. We have so many ads. Emanating a feral, moist presence. Some time passes before the carriage enters a calmer state, and you are ferried into a great hall with stoles and chic silks, demure grandeur, well into the early hours of the evening. I am sure others have explained this perfume more articulately, but this substance is a visceral, photorealistic adventure. I seldom use more than a drop spread carefully between several pulse points, and must be sure of it because it always takes me for a long and insistent ride. It's difficult for me to place or imagine another sort of experience with it. I love that. They took us there. They did. They took us there. Someone said this is the OG skin scent. It is. There is something very skin-like. It smells like your skin, but better. Someone says that this evokes a scent of luxury soap, but goes beyond that. It narrates cleanliness instead of cleanliness through an elegant progression from crisp citrus to creamy softness to a refined, powdery freshness. I simply agree. I simply agree. This definitely does smell like beige. A little lighter than this color is what the juice evokes. And I definitely smell silk. Like it gives the texture of silk. But silk that has been warmed up by your skin. Because, you know, silk is very cool. So initially this has that, like, again, that blast of aldehydes. There's the coolness, but it soon warms up as silk would do as it's wrapped up on you. Yeah, so it smells like clean skin. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. It also smells like pearls, you know, beautiful studded pearls. Yeah, it's chic in a bottle. It's gorgeous. So I'm glad to have that in my collection. I wouldn't consider this like a super powdery scent, but it still absolutely is powdery. But it's similar to Tint and Edge, which is super powder, super dry powder. It has that makeup powder, but it also has this crispness to it. And I think it's because of all of the citruses in here. So I really love that one. Let's see. We should talk about the other Hermes that I have. I have 3 actually here. But this one is like its sister companion. But let me go ahead and mention the main accords as well. We have woody, white floral, citrus, aldehydic, fresh, aromatic, earthy, powdery, mossy, and iris. For those of you who are not familiar with chypres, chypres is a very like standard perfume composition. So it would be citrus at the top, which is often bergamot, but sometimes could be mandarin or lemon, any type of, distinguishable citrus. And then we have a floral and woody heart, which I see a lot of rose. I love rose chypres, so for me that's like my favorite type of chypre. But rose, jasmine, for the earthiness we're talking patchouli, and or woodiness I should say. And then for the base it would be an earthy base of labdanum, musk, and of course oak moss. Lots of oak moss and vetiver. But because of IFRA, things have kind of shifted in how we create chypres. So now we have something called neo chypre, which means we have switched out the oak moss with patchouli that smells very similar to oak moss, and we get a lot of the similar qualities of a traditional chypre. I wanted to get you a little familiar with chypres because you're going to see a lot of them in here. I love a good chypre, both modern and vintage. And I think what I love about chypres is that they are both fresh, but also there's a depth within the freshness, and they can be quite moody. And chypres are done in many different ways. You can have leather chypre, woody chypre, floral chypre, fruity chypre. So there's like sub-genres in the genre. But like it says here, chypres are fresh, they're woody, they can be light and dark, they can be strong and sensual, chic and assertive. Over centuries, the scent made by monks in the Middle Ages became one of the most popular fine fragrance categories at various periods throughout the 20th century. It's a French creation named after the island of Cyprus, the third biggest island in the Mediterranean, located south of Turkey and west of Lebanon. It's old in terms of the fragrance world, but new to the next generation of perfume lovers who are just discovering it, which is amazing. And I personally love chypres in the fall. I think that they just, again, they have that depth and freshness that I really crave during this time. Okay, so next up we are going to be talking about another Hermes, and let's see, let me pull up my information. This is going to be a chatty type of video, and all of these are just any of my perfume videos are pretty long. So okay, so we have Amazon from Hermes. Okay, same bottle, different color top. So this is definitely a chypre. This is more of a like I could definitely smell the chypre components off the bat. With Caleche, it's a little harder, but this one has a little bit of that growl because this actually has oak moss in here. Amazon has since been reformulated, and I couldn't tell you what the newer formulation smells like, but a lot of people say it's quite different. And with a lot of the older vintage perfumes, we have eau de toilettes. So have Amazon. Again, I believe this particular bottle is from the 70s. And if I had to choose between Caleche and Amazon, I would choose Amazon. This one's slightly more greener, slightly more woodier, slightly more deeper. This one probably would lean more unisex, whereas Caleche is more traditionally feminine. But as we all know, there's no genders to perfumes, but just for kind of just descriptor purposes, yeah. So Amazon, I believe, yeah, came out after Caleche. So this one came out in 1974, and this one again is significantly greener. The nose behind this one is Maurice Marin, and this has an abundance of notes, okay, as most vintage perfumes. So the top notes are galbanum, cassia, neroli, Brazilian rosewood, mandarin orange, bergamot, and violet leaf. The middle notes are narcissus, which is daffodil. We have hyacinth, blackcurrant, rose, iris, orris root, jasmine, raspberry, and lily of the valley. And the base notes are oak moss, vetiver, neroli, cedar, sandalwood, cinnamon, which gives a little spice, ylang ylang, and amber. So as you can see, the base notes are a bit more spicier, a bit more deeper. We have amber in here as well. So the main accords are green, woody, aromatic, earthy, fruity, floral, citrus, iris, powdery, and yellow floral. Amazon, the symbol of a free and modern femininity. Amazon is inspired by the mythical female equestrians who reigned, according to legend, on the shores of the Black Sea. Maurice Marin composed the fragrance in 1974, and he orchestrated this around the black currant bud, okay, which is cassia, as we know. So, I love the use of fruits in here. I love chypres with red fruits. Cap was a little stuck on there. So, whereas Caleche reminds me of silk, Amazon reminds me of velvet. It has a little bit of that growl, I believe, due to the oak moss and possibly the narcissus as well. Narcissus is a flower that gives a lot of greenness, but also a lot of depth. It's very different than a lot of the other floral notes that you would typically find in a fragrance, and we don't see narcissus a lot, but it's quite potent of a floral. I love that this is a little animalic without having any sort of like civet or castoreum, any of those like typical animal musks that I would think would be in here. So I find that kind of interesting. This is slightly sweeter on my skin as well. Not to say that I love a sweeter scent, but I think that's also why I gravitate towards this one a bit more. Caleche is a little more muskier. And I really find the greener, woodier components is really great for this time of year. So yeah, I really love this one. I would say that Caleche and Amazon are very similar initially, but as they dry down, they tell a different story, and I think that it's worth having both of them in vintage form. Can't speak on the reformulations, but yeah. So let's see what someone has to say about this. There are so many reviews, but they're all so long. So I'm trying to find one that is. Let's see. I was wandering around a very posh shop when I stumbled into the perfume area. Big mistake, really, as I am utterly addicted to fragrance. I have a love for Hermes Caleche, especially in a warm climate, and I also love 24 Faubourg, which we will be talking about as well. They are similar. They are similar but different enough to be distinguishable from one another. For me, Amazon is a bit woodier. It's a woodier version of Caleche without the aldehydes, and a more grounded version of 24 Faubourg. I can tell they are all from the same stable, but have different pedigrees. Amazon doesn't have the instant burst of aldehydes that Caleche has, but the bergamot and oak moss make it a darker fragrance than its big sister Caleche. The heavy, woody smell gradually dries down to reveal the flowers, which takes the green down to a more subtle level. I like green in the scent, but I don't want the bitterness of, say, Chanel 19. The middle of the scent is gorgeous because the flowers begin to come through. For me, rose and hyacinth dominate to begin with and dry down to a powdery softness, at which point I get the sandalwood and a bit of leather, but believe me when I say it's not horse tack leather. This is the finest Spanish leather out, of which gloves were made for kings and queens. The dry down softness is just wonderful, and the staying power of the scent is very good. I don't have to respray during the day, which is a first for me. Floral chypres are hard to pull off, but Amazon manages it beautifully. The only other floral chypre I've ever liked was Miss Dior, which we'll talk about. Original one, not the one they sell under the same name. I'll show you the OG. And that has become a bit screechy under new formulation, so I've stopped buying it. But if you like Miss Dior Original, you might also like this. It's not a young woman's fragrance unless you're one of those perfumistas who can get past the fact that some of the best scents are older than you are. I train dressage horses, and I read one review that mentioned this. I can say that there is no correlation between this lovely scent and the scent of wet horses and wet leather waiting to be cleaned. It might have been developed on a theme of the mythical equestrians who reigned on the Black Sea, but it is emphatically not horsey, so don't let the name and the evolution of the scent put you off trying it. If you want leather, then Kelly Caleche really does have leather in abundance, but 24 and Amazon don't give leather out. Too much leather and things begin to go sour and smell of decay rather than scent. I love this. Is it my favorite scent ever? Nope. There are just too many out there for me to keep looking for the one, the signature perfume. Every time I think I found it, a few days later, I'm searching for something else. Whilst typing this, my Amazon is in the middle phase of development, and it's a soft and cozy as a cashmere blanket. I feel wrapped in luxury, but I won't be wearing it in the summer. But I won't be wearing this in the summer months, as I think in a warm climate it might get a bit overheated and turn sour. So that's when I bring out Caleche. Yes, that makes sense because I will say I love this more for the cooler weather. I love this as a fall scent, and I would definitely say this would be best for warmer climates like the spring and summer. But overall, I think Caleche is just kind of like an all year rounder. So, yeah, Amazon. I mean, the dry down just steals the show for me. If you like things that are cozy, enveloping, and of course you like your vintage scents, then that's definitely a great one. An amazing chypre, simply one of the best, in my opinion. Okay, so let me get these two out of the way, and we will talk about the last Hermes, which obviously I already gave it away. It's this one. This is 24 Faubourg. Now, out of the 3 vintage Hermes that I have in my collection, I personally saved the best for last. This is an absolute stunner. See the name a little bit etched there. I love the presentation of the bottle. It has like the etching, like the lasered out etching on the glass, which is just impeccable. Love the gold cap. I love that this is kind of like a matte gold, not quite shiny as say like my ring. So now I actually purchased this because I have a fragrance from Vivienne Westwood. I'm stumbling my words. Vivienne Westwood Boudoir. That's probably in my top 10 fragrances of all time, and if you guys want me to do like a top 10, I can do that for you. It's gonna be hard, but I can do it. And that fragrance came out in the 90s and it was discontinued. They have since, I believe this year, they came out with a reformulated boudoir. A lot of people are saying it's not the same, like it starts out the same, but it doesn't dry down the same. And honey, a lot of times it's about the dry down. And Vivienne Westwood has since passed away. If you know like the whole history of that particular fragrance, she created that fragrance. It came from her heart, her soul, and they went on to do like flankers or different fragrances under her name that she was just not okay with. Boudoir was her baby, and it was the only fragrance that she wore. Like, she loved her creation, and for good reason. It's stunning. And it's quite animalic, and I love animalic fragrances. I know that term, like animalic, seems kind of like abrasive, kind of scary, but it's so good. Like, I love fragrances that feel alive, that has a kind of like fuzzy presence, that muskiness, that kind of like just mesh with your own scent, because we all have our own scent. Anywho, this is a stunning fragrance. Again, I love this for the fall. This fragrance is a very like old money floral. It is big, voluptuous. It has a sweetness, like a honeyed sweetness to it. It's delicious, but it's a floral. And this is definitely for someone who likes their classic florals with a little bit of a bite. It's not a super loud floral, but it's present. It has a beautiful ambery base, so it's not like springtime florals. Again, it's like honeyed amber. As you can see, the juice is quite dark and deep, and so that's what you're getting with this fragrance as well. It's timeless. It's just elegance. I would wear this every single day because I love it so much, but it definitely gives off like special occasion. So let's read the notes. We have top notes of hyacinth, orange, ylang ylang, peach, and bergamot. Middle notes of orange blossom, gardenia, jasmine, black elder, and iris. And we have the base notes of amber, sandalwood, patchouli, and vanilla. I've heard mixed things that there's also ambergris, which is different to amber. But this kind of smells like both things, both amber and ambergris. So perhaps there's both in here. Let's see, 24 Faubourg. This perfume of light, composed by Maurice Roussel in 1995, is a Hermes signature right down to its bottle. The square glass is gently curved with a sense of movement, like a breeze blowing through silk. 24 Faubourg is an invitation on a journey where the sun is the destination. So, of course, we have top notes of white flowers matched by floral hearts and enveloped in iris, wood, and a bit of mystery. But yes, they do say vanilla and ambergris lend the tone to its afternote. So, like I said, it does end up being quite warm, and there's like a fuzziness to this. It's so beautiful, so beautiful. Let me see what people have to say about this one. So, pure class, little white dress, kitten heels, silk scarf, brunch with family on a sunny day, somewhere fancy. Subtle necklace with a tiny diamond, instant mood uplift, and quiet confidence giver. I think it suits well for any occasion. Well, maybe except going to an underground techno club. A signature-worthy fragrance. I absolutely agree. This is definitely signature scent-worthy. Everything is blended to utter perfection. None of the florals are super abrasive. Like they don't scream out. This person says opens green and zesty, settles into a richly honeyed white floral bouquet of gardenia, jasmine, and orange blossom. There's a mossy chypre-like feel, I agree, when it really starts to dry down, but the florals take the main stage. A perfect springtime fragrance, very strong and lasts all day on skin and double that on clothes. Definitely reminds them of Boucheron EDP. I have not tried that one, but I believe that was Selena's signature scent. And this one was one of Princess Diana's favorites. So that is saying a lot. Again, this is glass in a bottle. This is such a gorgeous classic floral. I'm a floral fan, and I blind bought this. It was a successful purchase. I think if you like florals and you're familiar with classic perfumes such as Coca Fleurs and L'air Bleu from Guerlain, you will like this. It is that classic big floral style that is very much of an era, but it does not seem super dated at all. It has a more classic air compared to more recent perfumes, but not to the extent that I would be uncomfortable wearing it out. I will say it has a more mature vibe, but not exactly grandma. But I think this would have felt a little much for me in my 20s. I'm okay wearing this now in my early 30s. Yeah, I agree. Like, I wouldn't see my daughters wearing this. I couldn't really see someone in their younger 20s wearing this, maybe like 26 and up, but 30 and up seems a bit more better. But yeah, it's gorgeous. I wouldn't consider this outdated at all. It's classic, signature scent worthy, gorgeous. Okay, let's see. I don't know if I told you what the main accords were, but it's white, floral, citrus, sweet, woody, powdery, fresh, spicy, green, amber, and yellow floral. If I'm not just repeating myself, which could be the case. Okay. So, next up, let's do let's do this one because this is fun. I have Michael Jackson's signature scent here. Yes, Michael Jackson's. Which, if you know, then you know which perfume I have here. So we have Bella Versailles, by Jean Desprez. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but this bottle is bodacious. It actually says Bella Versailles in the bottom here, and it says 100 milliliters. This is a big old bottle. I believe this is considered an amber. Let me look at the notes. So, yeah. This would be considered an amber, and it would be considered an animalic scent as well. I believe there's some civet in here, so we have some animal musks that makes this extra delicious in my opinion. I love wearing this for bedtime. This is such a boudoir, vintage glamour type of scent. I'm obsessed. So let's start with the main accords so I don't forget. The main accords are amber, powdery, woody, animalic, musky, balsamic, warm, spicy, white, floral, vanilla, and sweet. This does lend quite sweet on my skin. So of course the perfumer is the actual name of the perfume, Jean Desprez. This smells very, very warm. Okay, it's as warm as the juice. It's quite golden smelling. And we have a lot of notes. So the top notes are rose, Bulgarian rose, orange blossom, jasmine, rosemary, neroli, mandarin orange, bergamot, cassia, lemon. The middle notes are leather, sandalwood, ylang ylang, orris root, patchouli, lilac, vetiver, and lily of the valley. And then the base notes are civet, resins, total balsam, amber, benzoin, vanilla, musk, and cedar. Okay, so someone says, every time I apply this, I think, oh my god, this smells just fabulous. It's always a joy to wear. I love it. I love everything about it. It is genius in a beautiful bottle. Yeah. This is what classical music probably smells like. It smells like these ladies here, okay, and all of their beautiful ball gowns, okay. It smells like what the cap is trying to represent. A lot of these vintage perfumes, it's very hard to describe like what they smell like, because oftentimes they smell like a place, they smell like another time, essentially. And so this is a fragrance that is absolutely blended to perfection. It smells like kitten's fur almost. So let's see what others have to say about this, because clearly it's very hard for me to describe these scents, but yeah, like you gotta get your nose on this. Okay, so Belle of Versailles by Jean Desprez is a fragrance that feels like stepping into a golden ballroom. Yes, where opulence and mystery linger in the air, and among its many gilded layers, it unveils an animalic heart that is both daring and intoxicating. What astonishes me is that this is the very first perfume with an animalic accord that I have truly fallen in love with. Before this, I used to wonder who on earth could ever enjoy such a note. And believe it or not, animalic touches once felt almost repulsive to me. Yet, here wrapped in honeyed florals, warm resins, velvety woods, and delicate powder, the animalic nuance transforms into something sensual, elegant, and alive. The interplay of civet and musk with jasmine, rose, and amber create an aura that is neither tame nor overwhelming, but gloriously balanced, radiating with a vintage charm that is impossible to ignore. Its longevity is long-lasting, and its sillage drifts from moderate to loud, never shy, never too overpowering, but perfectly in tune with the perfume's theatrical character. In the end, Belle of Versailles does more than just scent the skin. It redefines perceptions, turning something once dismissed into pure passion, leaving you enchanted and compelled to return to its embrace again and again. This does kind of smell like a lover's embrace. It's enchanting, and one of my favorites from my vintage collection. I love spraying this on my sheets. I, again, love wearing this before bed. It's a scent that purrs, gently purrs. actually talk about this one because this was kind of a flop that I think would do absolutely amazing if it was released now. But this is C'est la Vie by Christian Lacroix. And I just have a little mini bottle, would love a full bottle of this. So this is the bottle. It is made to look like a heart, like an actual beating heart, not like a cutesy little doodle heart, an actual heart. This is a little dapper. This scent is so good, and it's so sad this was discontinued. So I think that this was released in 1990 and discontinued in 1991. Like, it was very fleeting. I think that this is so cute. I mean, kind of strange. It's like little arteries, but charming. C'est la vie. So let's go ahead and read the main accords of this. This would be considered an amber, by the way. Again, we don't say the O word. So it's considered an amber. Kind of sweet on my skin, which I do actually love. I love a sweet floral, but not really into like sweet gourmands. So the main accords are floral, white floral, fruity, woody, powdery, sweet, warm, spicy, amber, tuberose, and yellow floral. Let me actually move up my mic a little bit. So again, this was launched in 1990, and the perfumer was Edward Fletcher. And it does have a plethora of notes, and it doesn't have a top, mid, and base. It's just what it is. So we have tuberose, carnation, aldehydes. You can definitely smell the aldehydes, and I could definitely smell the tuberose as well. Slightly bubblegummy, but not to the point where I hate it, because I'm not into bubblegummy florals. We have ylang ylang, which is a yellow floral. I can also smell that in here as well. Sandalwood, orange blossom, benzoin, osmanthus, iris, peach, heliotrope, rose, pineapple, amber, raspberry, jasmine, musk, cassia, patchouli, vanilla, bergamot, cedar. I mean, the whole kitchen sink. You can definitely smell the peachiness. Could be the osmanthus. Osmanthus leans. It's a floral that smells quite apricot-like. So it just in general has a very nectar-like sweetness. It kind of smells like. Let me see. I mean, if I were to put a scent to this is red, right? But I would say that this smells like the color fuchsia. Kind of bright, hyper bright and in your face. Okay, so let's see what people have to say about this. This person says, "This is my signature scent. I wear it during the day, during the night, summer, winter, I don't care. It was released in 1990 and discontinued in 1991. A complete flop. People did not like it then and don't care for it now, which makes it even more desirable to me. The anatomically correct heart-shaped flacon." Sorry, we're getting ads. "The anatomically correct heart-shaped flacon with the arteries as a stopper is to die for. Living for it." Okay, this person says, This doesn't seem fruity to me or similar to Poison, as someone mentioned. To me, it is quite fruity. Not in the modern sense of things where things are literal fruits. You know what I mean? It's got that slight, like I said, nectary sweetness to it. You know, I would say like Poison is more like plummy, jammy sweetness. So, despite it being created by the same perfumer, it reminds me more of Lira du Temps, soapy and powdery. It doesn't seem like a 90s fragrance to me. It seems much more dated. That being said, I don't mind it, but I do own Lira du Temps and would reach for it more if I was in the mood for this type of fragrance. Still glad I was able to experience it, and I do like the bottle. So I guess they're kind of like meh about it, which fair enough. A very cozy, rich scent. It puts me in mind of the perfume version of Red Door, but with more powder up front and a boozy accord. This is a fantastic scent for cooler weather, but I could see it working for warmer weather if you sprayed it on lightly. This next person said, I absolutely enjoy this smell. It has a wonderful, sweet, flowery scent that is rather intense and overpowering at first, but fades into a lovely, delicate, feminine aroma. Strong and fashionable, lovely aroma. Oh, and I adore the bottle, which was inspired by an anatomically perfect heart and features the aorta as a cork. Brilliant. Rich, opulent, maximalist, sophisticated, bright, vivid, and cheerful. Big, strong floral with neroli, amber, and peach notes. Stunning. I agree. I mean, I would love the bigger bottle just to have the bigger heart, you know? Someone said, one word, glorious. This other person said, the most amazing dry down that lingers and lingers as a gospel sound. Yes. Glorious. This other person says, first sniff immediately made me think of Red Door. Again, big scent bubble, floral but not delicate. Powder in the back at first and get stronger later. Naturally rather than gourmand sweet. Okay. An ingredient list that would make a perfumer buyer in 2022 wonder what on earth have they gotten themselves into. It's like mad scientist territory. It's very well blended and balanced, but if you're sniffing with the notes list open and looking for the individual scents, you'll find them. A lighter version of the powerhouses of the late 80s and early 90s. However, I'm smelling this for the first time in 2022, and light isn't a word I'd use for it comparing to current trends aside from the brightness of the aldehydes. Is it mature? I hate to say it, but maybe. The pantyhose and sensible low heels vibe of Secretary's Days is strong in this one. It's wearable and office safe, but you've had to lean into the retro aspect of this 30-year-old scent. It's not passing as modern, and it's not quite old or recognizable enough to be classic. I like it enough that I'm happy to own it, but I don't know when I'd ever reach for it. I can completely understand that. It's kind of like an anomaly, really. But just the fact that this is a scent that just didn't make it, but now people covet this scent, makes me love it even more. And yeah, like this is one that, like, if you want to smell different, it's a good one to have. It's not completely outdated, but it doesn't scream modern either. So, and I didn't even put two and two together. I said that this was very much fuchsia smelling, and the box is fuchsia, so I mean, nailed it. Okay, let's do some Christian Dior. Okay, let's go ahead and do something a little bit different. Let's do this one here. This is very different than a lot of the fragrances I typically wear in terms of like the genre. But here we have Dune by Christian Dior. I love the presentation on this. Let me just show you. This is the Parfum. And it comes like in a little travel case that I've yet to open. And just like some instructions. But this is the presentation of the bottle. And I think it's absolutely stunning. So this is a vintage travel component for Dune Parfum. So you have your perfume like so, that just pops in, and you can see Dune. Just pops in like so, and you just pop it in your purse. Dune. Dune is an absolute masterpiece. It's very different to anything in my collection. This would be described as a spicy amber. We do not use the term, well, I'm not going to say it, but we don't use the O term, O-R-I-E-N-T-A-L. And you can do your research on that, but that's really offensive. So substitute that with amber, spicy amber. This is quite a dry scent, so it does remind me of the desert. So I think the name Dune is quite appropriate for this scent. There is something so alluring, mysterious. A lot of people call this quite poetic. I agree. I mean, nothing has been done, not even slightly similar to this. So this is kind of in a class of its own. You know when someone's wearing Dune. So, plus we have the master perfumer Dominique Bian as one of the noses for this perfume. So, I mean, it says a lot. But yeah, let's get into it. So, this perfume came out in 1991. And we actually have 3 perfumers that co-created the scent. Dominique Bian being one of them, Jean-Louis Suzak, and Neja Barber. Top notes of aldehydes, Brazilian rosewood, peony, mandarin orange, and bergamot. The middle notes of wallflower, rose, lily, jasmine, and ylang ylang. And the base notes are patchouli, sandalwood, benzoin, ambergris, oak moss, musk, and vanilla. I think what makes this a bit more of a amber than a chypre is because of the heavy dose of vanilla and benzoin. But yeah, when you look at all of these notes, you would think, is this a chypre? So it's kind of confusing. But on my skin, it's definitely giving spicy amber. Now, the main accords are woody, floral, amber, warm, spicy, balsamic, white floral, rose, patchouli, fresh, and aldehydic. This person wrote, this isn't perfume, it's poetry. It goes through movements like a sonata. I keep searching for another perfume that can match it, but I've been unsuccessful. The dry down is inexplicable, clean, but the way a beach can be clean, with driftwood, grass, and salty. Fortunately for me, Dune isn't very popular these days, and I frequently buy used bottles at a fraction of the price. It's become my signature scent, and it wears well in winter and in summer. Never cloying, Dune seems to have a personality behind it, a bit of a loner, slightly melancholic, comfortable in nature. Someone else wrote, the rosewood is enchanting. It almost reads as a mutant chypre, a floral heart wrapped around wood and moss, then sprinkled with citrus. Just way less moss-bored and more like a run in the sands than a roll in the hay. Dune comes and goes in waves and undulations. Spicy, salty scent bubbles sweat into powdery breaths. Plays nicely with Metha oil by Latava. Never tried it. Like so many of these classic scents do, in my honest opinion. So, yeah, this is just quite warm. There is a slight saltiness. So, this is kind of like a beachy scent, but done vintage. Again, another classic piece, but it's so unique. And this is probably one of my more warmer scents in my entire collection. Like it almost emanates heat. Again, like sand from the desert. If you were to just touch it and feel the heat, that's Dune. And I love that there's lily in this. I feel like I can smell the lily. Lily is quite a distinguishable floral, very different to Lily of the Valley. Yeah, so I don't know. I really love this fragrance a lot. And again, it's very hard to describe. But there's like many different components to this. I wish I knew what wallflower smells like. It is a yellow floral. And I do smell yellow florals in here. Which yellow florals in general are just like quite warm. Like the color of the flower itself. So it makes sense. There's a creaminess in here that I think comes from the ylang ylang, which is also a yellow flower, and it's also kind of tropical as well, which plays into the saltiness and even the dryness in this scent. It's good. It's good. Okay. The next one, let's do this one from Christian Dior. I'll probably just stop at Christian Dior and we'll do like a part 2 if you guys are interested. I did bring out most of my vintages, but I'm like, I don't know, it's kind of a long video. But here we have Diorissimo. And we have the classic Hound's Juice. Now this is Lily of the Valley. It does have lily in here as well. But some would say this is almost a Lily of the Valley Soliflor. This has not gone off. I believe this is a 1970s bottle. Oh my gosh. This is so good. Okay. Let me pull her up. Let's see. I'm just making sure there's no, because there's so many reformulations. Sometimes I'm pulling up the reformulation, and I don't want it to do that. I want the older formulation. Okay. Let me take a sip of my drink because I'm about to cough. So, the main accords are white floral, green fresh floral, and soapy. Lily of the Valley does tend to be like a very soapy type of floral, and green as well. So this came out in 1956. And the nose behind this fragrance is Hermes Caleche. He's very, very renowned. Like, he is definitely a master perfumer. He's done so many creations. This, of course, being one of them. Diorissimo is a romantic fragrance of the 50s. At its heart, a gentle lily of the valley blooms as Dior's favorite fortune flower. Diorissimo is fresh and clear, just like a dewy spring morning in the woods. Top notes include lily of the valley and ylang ylang. The heart is composed of amaryllis and baronia, leaving a jasmine trail. Christian Dior believed that lily of the valley is a symbol of hope, happiness, and joy. French consider lily of the valley as the legendary flower. According to the legend, a brave and fearless fighter called Saint Leonard wanted to spend his days among the flowers and trees and live a life dedicated to God. He asked permission to go live in the woods. A dragon called Temptation lived in those woods. They fought and blood was spilled. Leonard bravely fought the dragon until it was defeated. Poisonous weeds began to grow where the dragon spilled the blood, but beds of lilies of the valley started to grow wherever the ground was moistened with Saint Leonard's. The French believe that the lily of the valley is a holy flower, and so did Christian Dior, which inspired the creation of this wonderful fragrance. The creator from Grasse, France, Hermes Caleche, wanted to create a perfume that would be revolutionary and break the trend of sweet perfumes that were dominating the market at the time. The goal was to simplify perfume's formula and create a perfume that's simple and luminous. He dreamed a perfume similar to that of Muguet that enveloped his senses when he was resting in his garden. Dior and Hermes Caleche met in 1955 and made their dream come true in 1956. Diorissimo was created. The perfume was represented by an illustration of René Guiraud. According to Christian Dior, Diorissimo is the perfume of his spirit, or the scented expression of his soul. So again, this is quite a classy and elegant perfume. I know Lily of the Valley is a floral note that is deemed quite old-fashioned, similar to that of lilacs, and it's such a distinguishable, heady type of floral, known to be, again, like quite soapy and green, so it's quite noticeable when it's in a perfume. I think that this is, it's beautiful, and to me it's quite timeless, but of course, you know, many will think it's quite old-fashioned. But the top notes are green leaves and bergamot. The middle notes are lily of the valley, lilac, jasmine, lily, ylang ylang, amaryllis, which is kind of like a red and orange flower, We have rosemary and we have Baronia. I love that there is Baronia in here. Baronia is an Australian floral. And I love its overall scent profile. It's quite like fruity and sweet. Some say like it has this airy freshness to it as well. But I have a couple of fragrances with Baronia, and I love what it does to the composition. The base notes are civets and sandalwood, so you do get, I would say this is more indolic than overtly animalic, but there is that animalic nuance to this as well. So again, it's just like a perfume that feels very lively. It makes the animal note of civet makes just all of the other floral notes seem alive. You know, sometimes florals can smell very like withered. This smells very verdant, alive, fresh. Just gorgeous. If you've ever tried Jessica McClintock, I think it's just Jessica McClintock. It's in a similar vein. I think that's even more heady than this one. Like there's more blendability in here, more blended, I guess. So let's see what people have to say about this. Very prominent lily of the valley. Everything unfolds around it. This is the epitome of a spring perfume. Fresh, green, delicate, and full of light. It feels vintage, mid-century. Think crisp elegance, not dusty nostalgia. I love that. At the same time, it still holds up beautifully as something you could wear today without it feeling out of place. It's quite straightforward, but there's more beneath the surface. The note mix has a weight and complexity that makes it feel like a refined simpleton in the good way. Very graceful. If you're a white floral lover, this will be a good possession to have. Uncomplicated, lovely, and beautifully composed. Again, this person says this was created in 1956 and is still beautiful today. I mean, that's saying a lot, right, guys? White florals abound in this timeless classic scent. I adore Lily of the Valley, and it is definitely apparent in this. If you love white florals, this needs to be in your collection. It's a classic, yet will never be dated. It's incredibly feminine and perfect for spring and summer. Let's see. Roniska developed this fragrance in 1953, starting with a Lily of the Valley accord. I don't know if this had ever been done before, actually. No essence can be extracted from this flower, at least not at a viable cost. I mean, the flowers are very, very tiny. Legend has it that he spent a lot of time on his hands and knees sniffling the blooming lilies in the valley in his garden to fully understand the scent. The scent of this flower is fresh, airy, watery, floral with a slight hint of jasmine, which gives that like indolic presence, and crisp green with hints of lemon and melon. It is reconstructed using various natural and synthetic ingredients such as hydroxylenol, now highly regulated, lilol, and terpenol. Words that are hard to say. At the same time, according to Michael Edwards, Roniska decided to work against the trend of the time. Perfumers were using a very large number of molecules in their compositions. They used several synthetic materials introduced into their palette at the end of the 19th century, some of which have a relative harshness. To soften this harshness, they used sweet notes of vanilla, fruit, and other flavors. According to Reniska, this gustative tangent went too far, and he decided to return to the sense of nature and to simplify stylization and transparency without denying synthetic molecules. And he did an amazing job. And this, again, is a masterpiece. It is said that Diorissimo is the only soliflor in the history of perfumery to have survived to this day. If it has reached us, it is undoubtedly due to the richness and sophistication of its orchestration. It is indeed more than a lily of the valley soliflor, and incidentally one of the most successfully ever made. And according to Reniska, this success is due to the fact that he achieved a stylization of lily of the valley. To create something so convincingly lily of the valley without ever being able to extract any components of the actual flower, that's art, that's genius. So this was also another signature scent of Princess Diana. She was a perfume enthusiast as well. This is so good. I would love to get its modern version as well, just to see the difference, but I mean, the one they have already is just out of perfection. Also, I love the CD at the top of the cap. This just looks very 70s to me. Could possibly be 80s, but who knows? Okay. Next up is another, some would also call this a masterpiece as well. This is Miss Dior Eau de Toilette from Christian Dior. Look at this bottle. Made in France. Now, when I was getting into chypres, I wanted to get my hands on this because, again, I want to be familiar with not only modern day chypres, because it's just so different now, but the real stuff, you know what I'm saying? And this is so good. I would say with a lot of vintage perfumes, not just vintage chypres, but you have to let it sit on your skin to really have it develop properly. But this is the box. Fully houndstooth. This is a 3.7 fluid ounce, so a little over 100 ml, so we got a lot of juice in here. So let's look up Miss Dior. I will say, like, the chypres back in the day would definitely be more masculine leaning than they are now. And again, I think that definitely has to do with a lot of the natural oak moss that was being used at the time. So let me sift through this and try to find Miss Dior. Dior had so many fragrances. They actually had one called Lily in 1999. Lily Dior. I looked that up. Okay, let me see. So Miss Dior actually came out in 1947. This is a floral chypre. And let's go ahead and check out the main accords. We have aromatic, green, earthy, woody, white floral, mossy, aldehydic, fresh, iris, and floral. And this is very green. Like, this smells like hunter green, the color. In the best way, though. In the best way. I feel like there's definitely galbanum in here, a little bit of that bitter greenness that I personally love. But let's go ahead and check out the notes. We have top notes of aldehydes and galbanum. We have clary sage and gardenia and bergamot. We have middle notes of narcissus, again daffodil, iris, carnation, orris root, jasmine, lily of the valley, rose, and neroli. And the base notes are oak moss, leather, vetiver, patchouli, labdanum, amber, and sandalwood. So the leather definitely makes this a bit more very masculine, and a lot of men love this scent now. For those who love their vintage fragrances, I know that there's a lot of men who collect this, and for good reason. I mean, it's beauty. It's very earthy, very mossy, very, again, just green, like rich green. And it starts out with that freshness, but then it starts getting a bit deeper. Okay, so let's see what some people have to say about this one, because again, I really struggle to describe chypres. They're like worlds in their own, and it's like, if you've smelled a chypre, you kind of know what I'm talking about, but they're very hard to explain. What I will say about this one in particular is that this one isn't like a demure chypre. Like, this is a chypre that probably smokes 3 packs a day. You know what I'm saying? This chypre has been through some things, you know. They're not taking crap from no one. This is what I'm talking about. So there's a little bit of an edge to this one. But anyways, let's see what other people have to say. Okay, I'm usually a lover of the romantic flowery scents, violets, roses, heliotrope, and so on. However, there's something in the original Miss Dior I just can't get enough of. It's such a classy, heavenly fragrance. It's powdery and a bit soapy, spicy, and makes you feel elegant whilst being surrounded by a soft cloud of aldehydes. I can see why some people would say it's mature, but I've been obsessed with this one since I was 17. I'm not 26 years old, and I think they meant to say I'm now 26 years old, and I would rock it any day. To me, it's pretty much ageless, and I would go as far as to say its softness makes it very much a lovely fragrance for the youth. See, I would slightly have to disagree. I mean, it does try down to be a little more softer. I'm gonna put some on. It's a dabber, by the way, so I'm just gonna dab a little bit on. Those aldehydes are like doing some things to my nose. Okay, if you have a stuffy nose, get yourself an aldehydic perfume. Okay, let's see. Okay, this person says recently bought a 10 ml miniature bottle of this unopened. Mentioned in its original packaging, although I'm not entirely sure. I suspect this bottle I have to be from the 60s, 70s off of the design. It's effing gorgeous. Minimalistic yet classy black and white houndstooth with thin gold lettering. Guessing this is the one. I just love it. 1,000 times nicer than today's Miss Dior, in my opinion. As for the fragrance, it is wonderful. A rich, smooth, timelessly enchanting elixir, so elegant and feminine. It doesn't develop much throughout wear from opening fade. It's just such a solid, attractive fragrance. Very low sweetness, but such warmth and deep, leathery florals. Great protection and longevity too. Very curious to smell the modern formulation in comparison to this. I get a lot of the leather on me, which again makes this lane a bit more unisex. But don't get me wrong, I love it. I love it. I gotta see if anybody else smells like the cigarette essence of this, because I sure do. Maybe I'm going crazy. Okay, I found a reviewer that gets me. Okay, this is vintage Miss Dior. The fragrance launched in 1947. Not the completely different pink confection sold in Sephora today. Miss Dior is a tweedy green floral chypre. It reminds me a lot of Magritte, which was a near contemporary by the same perfumer, Jean Carles. They both have the soupy, mixed feel of 50s perfumery. Greens, flowers, a tan, nutty base that invariably includes oak moss, sandalwood, vetiver, and amber. Busy perfumes with lots of moving parts and a Miss Moneypenny brisk, ladylike efficiency. Miss Dior has a fair bit of leather and something like cigarette smoke in the base. There's a lot of galbanum up top, along with a pale, foggy gardenia and sage accord. I do smell a lot of the sage. I smell a lot of the sage, actually, from the very moment I put it on, which gives a lot of that greenness. Like wandering through the Jardins, Luxembourg in a mist. There's also something almost fruity resonance going on. Maybe the galbanum and labdanum intersect to make something tangy. I also get that tangy effect. And down below, I get hints of animalics in the base, with a savory, solid aspect I attribute to ambergris. Hours in, I can also feel smooth, creamy iris butter, sort of a nice purse smell. I think of Miss Dior as sage green in color. I mean, this person just gets me. I did say hunter green, and they say sage green. Potato, tomato. I think of Miss Dior as sage green in color. It's not the deep, rich olive of more patchouli heavy 70s, 80s chypres, nor is it the clean, fresh green of florals like Vent Vert or Chanel No. 19. Miss Dior is more middling, more muted, more balanced. Like Magritte, it can be a little boring, but the scent that wafts up from my wrist all day has a jaunty kind of charm. The galbanum is surprisingly stalwart. It's usually a mere top note, but in Miss Dior it sticks around, absolutely. Which to me, that's why I get hunter green. I can kind of see what she's saying. I think as it settles down, it does turn more into a sage green, but to me initially it's hunter green. But yeah, this is really interesting. And if you want to familiarize yourself with a chypre, you gotta get your nose on the vintage stuff, because they just don't do it quite the same anymore. Those are all of my Diors. I think we're gonna end it here just because this video is rather long, and then I can make this a part 2 if you guys are interested. I have some Guerlain, Balenciaga, yeah, I have some Coty as well, Coty. But this was fun. Yeah, so I would love to do it again. Anyhow, thank you so much for spending time with me today. And as always, love you, love you, love you. To the moon